All right, welcome everyone. Chris here. Great to have you along with me here. We're having a fun time. We're going to actually cover a very straightforward type of concept of just building depth in your paintings. So the simple idea we're going to have here is let's build some depth in our paintings by just using basically two fundamental type of techniques that we can employ, which would be using cooler colors in the distance, which we have here, cooler trees and cooler washes for our buildings in the distance. So if we add cooler colors there in the distance, you'll see that makes everything seem to recede in your painting and add three-dimensional quality, as well as adding darker, really rich, lots of dark, rich paint and dark tonal values closer in the foreground of your painting. So if you can make your foreground with darker, richer colors, and then your distance more cooler colors and lighter, like we've done here, you'll find that you'll have a lot more depth in your paintings, which can really create some beautiful effects when you're painting watercolors. So we we'll cover that all here as we go. I might have left out a few details here, so maybe we can even add in a few as we just start out our painting and our video here. So you'll see I'll just add a couple darks here that I left out when we were doing our painting. But you'll see that we'll have a lot of fun creating this painting. We'll go step by step, so you'll see everything. We'll mix all the colors here. I'll show you all the colors you're going to use, which is kind of a minimal amount of colors. We didn't use a lot. A limited palette, really, we used on this painting. Not a lot of colors, and we'll show you how you make lighter colors and lighter washes, and then even in the beginning, we're going to go with our darker washes, darker colors here in the foreground and middle distance. So we'll cover all that and more as we get started. So we'll see you in just a second. We'll get started. All right, so we just saw the finished paintings. We did two compositions where we're trying to create depth in our paintings. We want to be mindful of that because actually, if you can create depth in your compositions in your paintings, it really does add a lot of quality to your artwork. So we'll cover just a little bit of that right now. This will be kind of maybe maybe 45 minutes to the next hour. We'll go over just some kind of how we're going to do that. We'll kind of explain how we're going to kind of create our composition with some drawing. I'll take maybe a Sharpie to start out with. So basically our first composition, we'll try to create maybe like a apartment building, something like that. We'll put that in the foreground here. So maybe we'll have our picture frame like this, and we'll put our, maybe it's an apartment building, maybe it's a three-story apartment building. We have a roof over here like that, and maybe some windows over here. Just quickly, I'm trying to make a, and then over here maybe there might be another, so this might be a sidewalk over here, and then a sidewalk, and then a street coming in like this, like that, going around, street over here, and then maybe over here we'll have another building over here, and it's a little smaller, it's starting to get smaller in size, like that. Maybe there's a couple windows over here, maybe a door here, a couple windows. So we're going to start to build the composition, and this is really fun because you can kind of see how we're making everything start to get smaller as it goes into the distance. And then back here even, we have things getting even smaller over here, some trees. And there's maybe another house over here in the distance. So you can kind of see how we're starting to create that beautiful three-dimensional quality to our composition, where we have a large building here, apartment building, or could be an office building, something like that, commercial building, or just a condominium or apartment building. Then over here we have another structure, maybe the same thing, maybe an apartment building, could be an office building or a church. We could, make things the way we want to. We could add things to this or subtract things, and then over here in the furthest point here, we're going to have the smaller maybe a one-story building, like a house perhaps over here. This might be a two-story house. This might be a one-story house here. And you can kind of see, though, how everything is getting smaller as it goes into the distance. And then we're going to get things cooler, too. We're going to make the house here in the distance a little cooler, more, blue, green colors with some foliage and things like that, and maybe some trees over here with that cooler quality of color. So the blues and the greens are going to make this feel cooler in the distance, and then we'll make these buildings here a little more warmer, maybe some oranges, reds, browns. But this will be the kind of the basics of what we're going to do. We'll take this and we'll set it across from us, and we'll draw from this. And again, you can use that drawing right there. You can maybe hit pause if you want to draw from my Sharpie marker drawing. You can do that, or you can wait till I finish my pencil drawing and draw from that too as well by hitting pause on your video and using that as your drawing. But in any case, we'll get started, and we'll just have a really fun time here with the whole idea of let's create depth in our paintings, try to make things diminishing in size, and then also in color, becoming cooler in the distance. You'll always hear a lot of great artists always say that. I've seen many videos, DVDs of great artists. I've seen many paintings and books, as well as studying paintings. And you'll always see that a lot of artists will always do that. They'll make things cooler in the distance and smaller so that you get that quality of depth in your paintings. And I want you to have that so that you, at any time you're creating a painting, you'll be able to understand that that quality of depth in your painting can be achieved by diminishing things in size as well as making things cooler in the distance with your colors, adding more blue or green to your color compositions as you go. So let's get started right here with the sketch. I'll probably just take this and go around my tape here. So I'll make some pencil lines around my tape here so you can kind of see clearly my rectangle as I'm working here, so you can kind of get the feel for the rectangle here. And then we'll start out. We're going to make our roof up here. So we'll start our roof right up here. I'm just going to go right up top, and I'm not going to get too worried about composition so much and making a lot of hash marks. I just know that this building or apartment building on the left-hand side here is going to be quite, it's going to start just a little bit below the top of the painting, the rectangle here, and then it's going to go down like this, and then all the way down to the bottom of the painting like that. Like that. So you can kind of see we have the darker eaves of the roof over here, and then we have our roof over here like this. And then we'll make some windows and things like that. Let's make some windows over here. So maybe I'll make one window here and a shutter, another shutter here, and we'll make like 3 windows. 1, 2, 3, like that. So this is kind of easy enough. We're not getting too fancy. We're making a couple windows, some shutters, like that. Maybe we'll make some grills in the window, like that. So we make some grills in the window. And then there might be a couple hash marks in the shutters, just to kind of give us an idea that we want to remember as we're drawing and painting this, that we have our plan of action of what we're drawing, our windows, our shutters, our walls here. Then we'll make some more windows over here, but these are very diminished. So these windows over here are just tiny little bits of darks because we're looking at the wall on an angle and we can't really see all the details. So we're just going to put some lines there for those windows on the face of this side of the building, but we don't see much of the details because it's sort of on a very severe angle, so we don't see all the shutters and fancy angles and windows, like just enough detail that we know it's the windows over here and some shutters, but nothing too definite. Okay, now the next thing we'll do is maybe we'll have a little bit of a tree over here. And then maybe a fence over here, maybe a picket fence. So maybe we'll just block out a picket fence here, like that, with some lines, some vertical lines. And we'll paint the rest of the details as we go. We don't have to worry too much. We just want to make sure we kind of make a little bit of a picket fence type shape over here, which is basically just a rectangle. And then we can make some points here on the top if we want to, like that. Then the next thing we'll do is we're going to have perhaps the street coming over here like this and going in on an angle like that. Like that. And then the street comes around this way. That gives us that feel of the street coming in and curving in. And then maybe over here, we're going to have this house over here. And again, we're just having some fun, drawing some shapes for our houses and things. This might have a fence over here, this house over here. And again, we could do the same thing. We'll make some lines for a fence like that. And then maybe we have some more windows over here, maybe a couple windows here and here. Just a couple rectangles like that. That's good enough for the windows. And then over here too as well, we want to create a couple windows over here. And this is in shadow here, so we could add a little bit of pencil. Like over here, we added this for the shadow. This is in shadow too. This underside of this roof area over the eaves here, where the eaves are hanging over the face of the building here, the face of the structure. And there's another window here. We'll just put that there. And there's another bit of details here. Maybe there's a chimney over here. And then here we have some trees. So we'll put some trees over here. And then finally, we're going to come over here halfway between this building and this house. We'll just make another small cottage or house over here. There's trees and things over here, so just to get an indication of things. And the whole premise of this is we're trying to create some depth in our painting by realizing that we can do it in many different ways, but one of the ways that's kind of most straightforward is making things diminished and smaller in size as things go into the distance, as well as making things cooler when we're using our colors. And we'll cover that next once we start painting. But as you can see, we have the first part is making our structures a little smaller as we go. So this one's really large here on the left. This is closer to us right up here. Then this one's a little in the further distance, maybe middle distance here for this building here, house, apartment building. And then over here, maybe another smaller apartment building or house in the further distance. And you can see how that's smaller in size. And then we've accomplished our technique and method of making things appear to diminish in size as well as become cooler as things go into the distance. Basically very simple. So I'm hoping that you'll be able to utilize my pencil drawing if you can, like we just did here. Sometimes I'll go over with a darker pencil line so you can see it a little better. Hopefully you can see this pretty well as I create my video here. Like that. Hopefully that works and it looks good so you can see that clearly. And that's all we need to do. Just have some fun with this. I'll put some trees up here too as well. Maybe they're closer, kind of wrapping around this rooftop a little bit, making that more interesting. And I think everything is looking good with our pencil sketch. So we have our pencil sketch done. Pencil sketch is completed. And now all we have to do is mix up some colors and we'll start working on the painting portion of this. All right, we'll be right back. I'm just going to take a quick break and we'll get started again. All right, so now we're going to work to get our colors mixed in our palette. So that's a really good game plan if you can. Mix up some colors first, kind of let's figure out together here our color mixtures that we're going to use for our painting. And if we can do that and get pretty much most of the colors out on our palette and kind of on there, that'll give us a head start, and then we won't have to be stressing too much as we're working through the painting, figuring out other colors that we might need to use here and there. We'll kind of think of everything through from the beginning. So let's try that. So we said we wanted to make cooler colors in the distance and then warmer colors in the foreground and darker colors. So darker and warmer in the foreground and then cooler and lighter in the distance. So if we take that idea, let's start out with maybe some yellow ochre over here, maybe with some alizarin crimson and cadmium red and burnt umber. Maybe we'll make some kind of a warmer color over here like that, a mixture of warmer color. Maybe we'll introduce some blue like that and some burnt sienna maybe too. Burnt sienna is always a nice color to use as we go. So now we have sort of a warmer with some cool too as well. Some cool colors, again, French ultramarine blue, maybe even a little bit of cobalt blue. And then plenty of warm colors here. The golds, the yellow ochre, a little bit of cadmium red, alizarin crimson, burnt umber. So we're kind of, and these are kind of darker colors, as you can see. This is kind of pretty, that's pretty, we can make it a little darker like that. Add some more straight paint like that. And then even here too, some more burnt umber, straight burnt umber, yellow ochre too, like that. So you can kind of see plenty of dark, rich, lots of paint, a little bit of water, not too much water though, mostly quite a bit of paint. So that's kind of our first plan of attack, is let's make our washes that we're going to make for our most in the foreground closest to us. Those are going to be more richer, lots of paint, not as much water, lots of paint. And then maybe we'll add some cerulean blue too. And we'll make maybe our roof here. Let's start out with our roof. And I'm using this is I think a number 8 Da Vinci, number 8 Da Vinci Maestro travel brush. Pure Kolinsky, 1503 Germany. I think I have this. I usually have all my art supplies below in the comments section, so you can always look up my art supplies. I usually try to put everything. I'll probably keep adding to the list, but I've been trying to keep a running list of all my art supplies that I use, that I've been using for over 10 or 15 years now, that really work great. You can trust that if I put it in my list below, in the comment section down below, those are going to be art supplies that really work well for you. They're not going to be something where you're not going to be satisfied with it, but you'll always want to shop around too. Maybe you're going to look for different items too when you go online and shop around. Maybe you might not want the same exact brand that I use, or maybe you want something else that's a little more economical, or you might want to spend a little more money and buy something a little more, extravagant. Whatever it is, it's your own pocketbook, so to speak, or your own wallet. You're going to purchase things that you want to purchase for your own reasons. But I always put in my list below, in my comment section, links for all the art supplies that I use that I've worked with for many years now, and I've tried them, and I've tried so many different art supplies, and the ones that stick are the ones that I put in down below. So those are the ones that I've always kept with me, and then there's other ones that I've sort of left behind and haven't really, used, in a way where I'm using them all the time. Anything I'm sharing with you below in the comments section with my art supplies, those are things I use on a regular basis, basically. And they work great, and they're, going to perform well for you. So you can always trust that. But you can always see that in the comments section. You'll see when you go onto online and you go searching around, you'll always see that there's people that leave comments. And let's get some green, though, anyway, here as we're painting. So I'll splash a little bit of green over here, and that's for the trees up here. So we're going to have some trees, and I'll add some blue to that so that it's kind of a nice dark green with some shadowing like that. And then we'll just go right below here and do some shadowing under this part of the tree here and over here. And we'll do the same thing. Grab some of that olive green. And then you can just kind of take your brush and just place the paint carefully like so. There's some branches and things. We'll add some more branches as we go. So if you add some olive green over here and up here, already you're starting to build some nice color in your painting where it's harmonizing together. The olive green up here with some French ultramarine blue for shadowing. Same thing here, some French ultramarine blue for shadowing here and there. Then maybe you'll even grab some cadmium lemon yellow to get some brighter, light, yellow / green at the top here. So that's where the sunlight is. At the tops of the trees and the bushes and things, you'll see the lighter yellows like that. Okay. And that looks pretty good. And then let's just keep working, and we'll take some of that shadow color and make the shadows of the underside of this eave of the roof over here. Like that. So now we have that. And then maybe we'll make a little warmer color over here for our roof. Just to bring in some more warmer color there. But you can see these are quite dark, these colors. They're darker in tonal value because this is closest to us. So the closer things are to us, the more dark and rich in color they're going to be. And then as they get in the further distance, they become lighter and cooler. So we're going to continue on here, making our washes. And then we have our fence here. We can use the same colors, burnt umber, French ultramarine blue. We might use a smaller brush. Maybe I can see if I can find, let's see if I can use this needlepoint brush here. So I'll have a needlepoint brush. You can see how fine pointed that needle brush is. And then we can do some fence details here where you just take some darks and you make your fence slats in the fence here like that with a fine point brush like this. And there's other brushes too you can use that are kind of more finer points to them. There's rigger brushes. This is a needlepoint brush again, but you can use, there's finer point brushes too as well that you can purchase. So then we have some picket fence here. You can do some of the details of that picket fence too if you want to. You can make the points of the top. Like that. And then maybe a little bit of the shadow over here where the road is. That's maybe some green grass over here. So I'll start off with that point, almost like a triangle there for like the grass maybe. There's some grass here. And then the road is here. So we'll add some more colors for the road, but let's let this dry over here, this bit of grass here that we have. And then we're going to maybe think to ourselves for the color scheme of the painting. Maybe in the shadow, let's make our light source. So it's always good to figure out our light source. So I put a light insignia here, like so. Okay, so that's where the light's coming from, this side going this way. And then once we set up our light spotlight, so if you can imagine, you just put a spotlight wherever you want your light shining in your painting when you're doing your composition. So if I'm saying that the light's coming from this side of the painting this way, that means the light's going to be on this side here, and the shadow's going to be here on this part of the building here. And then over here we'll see light on these faces of these buildings here, because the light's coming this way. So we're going to have light on these faces of the building here, and more shadows on the sides of these buildings, the houses and the apartments here, as we call them. So let's keep that in mind. It's kind of important to keep our light source. It's kind of important to keep our light source in view, and so that we can kind of always reference it. So I usually try to do that at the beginning of my paintings, just put my spotlight wherever I want the light. Maybe another time I might put it over here, shining this way. This time I'm going to do it here, shining this way. So you can kind of, depends on your reference material too. We're kind of creating a fun, free type painting where we're not really so much using a photograph or something like that. But this is where I just take that wash and go right down the whole face of here, like this, like that. And that looks good. It kind of blends in where the trees are. The colors of the trees kind of blend right into there. Can you see that? How I just blended that whole section together, so that all kind of blends like that. And that looks good. And this is the bright side, which is the sunlit side over here. So we'll work on this maybe next. So for this, you can just stick with your same brush you're going to use. Maybe you're going to make some shutters here. And maybe we'll make these shutters like a bluish black, like a gray color. We'll make our shutters gray over here, like this, like that. And there's a little bit over here, so we kind of see a little bit of this shutter over here and over here, like that. So perfect. We have some gray shutters, and now you can build in some warm too over here, some warm colors, and just fill in your window with some color. And even some green too, because a lot of times windows will pick up the colors of the trees around, and also the sky. So you can put blue and green and brown in your windows, the glass of the windows, and that kind of just looks fine. I wouldn't fill the whole window in. I would sort of leave the bottom of the window maybe white paper, like that. Then maybe we'll make a little shadow under the windows like this. There might be a sill under there or something like that. We'll do that. I think that's good. I think we have this building and these trees here all together looking very good. You could add a little exciting red. Maybe you could take a little bit of exciting color and just put a couple spots of really cool, interesting color, orange and red maybe, like that, into the roof area, and then just kind of blend it a little bit. But if you have a little bit of exciting color there, that's going to look good, like that. Maybe even a little bit of that color too in the trees, maybe a little bit of orange and the brown and the red and the colors like that in the trees too, just to blend our colors around, make sure we kind of keep everything looking harmonious and blending together. A little bit of orange and red down in here too, at the grass area, like that. So now you can kind of see we have really a good, strong, dark, rich colors over here on the left-hand side closest to us. Now we're going to start thinking about as we go over here to the right side and toward the further distance sections of the painting, we're going to go cooler and a little bit lighter in tonal value. So this is our darkest darks over here. You can even add a little more dark blue and burnt umber if you want to make some darker shadow under here, like that. Sometimes that'll look good if you can add a little more dark spots of color, like that. Just keeps it looking true to what we're trying to accomplish, which is the dark to light. Dark is closest to us, and then lighter is further away, and we can also put some shadow, dark shadow kind of here underneath the very, very tops of the windows, like that. And that's going to dry a little bit lighter. Always remember, your watercolors are always going to dry a little lighter than when you put it on the paper. Okay? All right, so this is a perfect time to just take a quick break. What I'll do is I'll empty my water bucket, and we'll continue to work on the trees over here and the buildings. And you'll kind of see that right now we've got quite a bit of work done already on our painting, our composition, but we will start to notice that as we go, things will pick up, the pace will pick up a little bit, and we will be on our way to even finishing this up in a rapid fashion. We're not going to take hours and hours to do this. We want to sort of make our painting come alive and become, completed within a fair amount of time. We don't want to spend too much time on too many details and things like this. We kind of want to work in a rapid fashion. We don't want to. That's what keeps your paintings looking fresh. So I know a lot of people always say, "Hey, how do I make my paintings look fresh and loose?" Perfect way to do it is just get your pencil sketch down, get it good. You're happy with your pencil sketch, perfect. Then you just go in and you really work rapidly through your painting with your washes. And you saw how we created our colors, and now we're just going to keep using the same colors. We're just going to lighten them up a little bit, and you'll see how we're going to do that next, okay? So I promise you I'll be right back, and we'll work to finish this painting, and we'll actually do it quite rapidly right now, okay? All right, we'll be right back. All right, I am back, and I'm really grateful everyone's here. We're having a fun time. I'm hoping that you'll actually consider subscribing to my channel. On the right-hand side below, there is a subscribe button, and that's only if you just want to continue to follow along with our videos here that we're working on week by week and month by month and even year after year. So we're always creating new work with watercolors on a consistent basis. So if you're subscribing, all it does is just you'll be notified on YouTube the next time we create a new video next week or the next couple days, whatever it is. We're always creating, again, usually every week we're doing at least maybe two to three watercolor painting videos each week. So you'll always be alerted when we do create a new painting video, and you can join along with us. And that's once you subscribe, you'll just be kind of like, kind of joining along with us, and you'll be kind of like up to speed on when our new videos are coming out. And that's really all it is. There's no like gimmicks or emails or phone calls or anything like that with YouTube. It's just basically YouTube's way of just saying if you like a certain creator, as myself, painting and watercolor, if you subscribe, it basically just they'll let you know when I'm making my new videos, and they'll put them in your feed, your YouTube channel feed, so that you'll see my videos maybe on the side, and you'll see that I've created a new video, and you can check it out and so forth. So in any case, we're going to just keep working right along here. I might change out my water now, so I'll empty my water container, and I have these water containers I use. They're really fantastic. Again, these are in the description below if you want to pick up some water containers. I use these. They're like a rubberized water container. They're kind of nice, especially if you're going to make some videos. If you decide you're going to create some YouTube videos of your own, these are really nice because if you tap on them with your brush, they're rubber and they won't make a lot of noise. I used to use the plastic ones and they would make a lot of noise. I'm sure a lot of people were kind of aggravated that I made a lot of noise on my videos when I was tapping on my water bucket, but these are really nice. These are rubber and they're pretty good. They're kind of quiet. So I just use regular bottled water, and I fill up my water container and we'll just continue on here. So again, the idea is this is the closest part of our painting to us, our foreground with this building here. Darker, much darker, richer colors, darker tonal values. Then as we go here in the middle distance and even in the further distance, we're going to start getting lighter in color, and the colors are going to become more lighter and actually more, we're going to gray them down a little bit. We're not going to make them as exciting as maybe these colors here. So here we have some, you can kind of see these are a little more exciting color there. And the next thing you know, we're over here and we're going to make this roof over here, and we're going to make this a little bit more grayed down. There's not as much color, but we will add a little bit of color to it, but not as, you can kind of see the difference between this here and this here. It's a little bit lighter in color, tonal value, and also a little bit less intense in colors. And then we can even go in and we'll make some of our just French ultramarine and burnt umber for our shadow there, like this. And then for the colors on the side of I'm just going to use some of the colors that we mixed up earlier, which was yellow ochre, a little bit of cadmium red, alizarin crimson, a little bit of burnt sienna, burnt umber, kind of a warm wash of color. And I'll try to leave the windows white paper like that. And then maybe I'll just take some lines here with that same color, and I'll just spin my brush around in the palette to get the point of my brush a little better. You can also use we could even take our needlepoint brush here and get some of these colors, and we'll make our fence here. So that's even better yet, if we can use our needlepoint brush like that. And then we'll have some grass over here, so we'll make some more of that green, like that. But notice the green isn't as, maybe it's just a little bit more grayed down. It's not as vibrant of a green. And I think that's pretty good. Already we're starting to, you could take some of that green and put it into where the fence color, the colors of each individual fence board there. You can just kind of add a little bit of that greenish color. You can even add some green to the wash over here on the side of the building over here, the apartment building there. Okay, so that's pretty good. We'll leave this white paper, the front of this apartment here, because we have the light coming from this direction, so we'll pretend that the bright light is cascading this way and lighting up this side of the building here, and as well as over here. So, and then over here, let's take a little more blue. Now we're going to start to create a little more bluish green. Maybe we'll have some green with some cerulean blue over here, a little bit of burnt umber, and we'll just make some cooler. See how that's cooler, that color there? It's kind of like a greenish blue. Then we'll even take our gray color here for the roof and make it lighter and a little bit cooler. So we're going to make a cool gray. So we're going to take that original color, which was burnt umber, French ultramarine blue, and then we just add some of the cerulean blue to that. And that can be our color of our roof, like that. And you can kind of see how that's cooler and gray. And then our greens too, we'll take our greens and add blue to it. Add some cerulean blue to your green, like that. You can even blend that right into the roof, your bluish green. And there we go. Then we just take that and splash and take that light green that we just created here And we start to make our trees back here, nice and cool, that greenish blue color, cool. These are much more rich greens with green and yellow, bright yellow, greens, browns, darker tonal values. Then over here in the distance, we're going light. We're going really light, as you can see, with that light color of bluish green, cerulean blue, and the olive green, like that, in the distance. And then as we go here, this is in shadow. If you find that you want to, sometimes if you've added maybe too much wash or something like that to your painting, you can always take your paper towel and you fold it up in a little bit of like a square or like a rectangle. You know, you get a little bit of paper towel and you fold it up and crease it really tight. And then you can come in and just press down and lift up, and then you have a nice little bit of light there. So you can actually lighten up your watercolors as you go really efficiently like that. And it doesn't have to be a difficult task just to get a light bit of color there. And then we just add some of that darker wash that we had over here. But you can see that is kind of really nice. With the cooler, you can add a little warmth here, add a little warmth to it. You don't want to totally make it just blue, but predominantly you want it blue-green. But you can add a little bit of warm color in there too, to kind of give it an interesting effect there. But that should be fine. And then over here, we can do the same thing up here. This is a little bit closer to us, so we can go with a little more green here, maybe a little bit of brown and green, like this. So we have a little more like that. Splash a little bit of paint on there. Don't be afraid to splash. Get yourself used to splashing on your paintings. A little bit of finger tapping for your colors. Finger tapping works great to get some, especially with trees and foliage and things like that. It really does look good. Okay, and that is about where we're going to leave off now to take a break. And then once we come back from our break, we'll just start doing the finishing touches. I think we pretty much have everything. We could do this right now. Just a quick little, make some lines on the road here. So I'm just going to make some circular lines like this. So I'm just making like a U shape. I'm just going with a U shape like this, just to kind of get those curves in this roadway here. And then we'll come back and add a little more color, maybe a little bit of yellow and green along here, just to make it feel like we have some grass and things like that along the fronts of the buildings, like that. But I think that's pretty good. I think we can leave that just the way it is right now, right there. And that should be fine. All right, so we're going to come back and finish up the painting. We have pretty much everything really solid right now for the most part. We just need to add a few details, maybe a little sky wash, just a touch of sky wash, and a couple details with our needlepoint brush for our windows, and we'll be all set, okay? All right, well, I'm glad you're having fun with me. Let's wrap up this painting. Again, it's a loose composition, a lot of fun, and the main thing is we're creating depth in our paintings by basically two ideas right here, two methods. One, going lighter in wash and cooler in wash for the distance. And then the second thing is making things smaller as we go. So we have a large building here, a medium-sized building here, and then we have a smaller building over here. And if you make a large, medium, and a small, and you have everything going consecutively through the painting like that, you'll have that really nice feeling of depth. And that's what we're trying to create, depth in your painting. And you can always arrange your paintings in that fashion, even if you're working from photographs. If you're out in plein air painting, you can maybe rearrange things if you want to as well, to kind of have this type of feel for your paintings, for getting more exciting depth in your paintings. Okay, we'll be right back. All right, so we're wrapping things up here. Let's get our final washes going here. I changed out my water, so I have my water bucket with fresh, clean water. I might just add a little bit of darker wash right there, just a little bit to shape my roof a little bit better, like that. Over here as well, I might add a little bit of wash there, just to blend that in like so. We'll add some shadows, and that is going to be lighter too. So imagine you can take a tissue and lighten up your roof there. I just wanted to kind of go over my roof a little bit, but I lighten that up again with a little bit of, and I'll use some cerulean blue, maybe to make a shadow there. And then maybe we'll make a shadow here too, like that, with some cerulean blue maybe. Maybe some French ultramarine blue as well with a little burnt umber, just to get a little bit of a shadow there. Same thing here, a bit of a shadow there. And then maybe we'll just make our windows the same color. And I'll just make these windows the same thing too, just to kind of get ourselves wrapping up here. Again, it's a composition. And I blot up a little bit here and there once in a while, if you want to just, blend in your details a little bit. And then I can use the needlepoint brush too, over here, to get more of these finer details over here, like that, and the door, like that. And the underside of the eave of the roof over here, like that. But I think that's a good feel of depth as we go. You can add some blue, cerulean blue, to the roof over here, like that. And a little bit of splashing with some green, so you can do a little bit of splashing and finger tapping here and there, just to give it some more variety and textures. But I think that's fine. Once you have that bit of detail there, we're pretty good. Maybe we're going to do burnt umber and French ultramarine blue here, just to maybe get our chimney in here. We have a little chimney over here. A little bit of a shadow there, like that. Like that. Maybe I'll add a little bit of dark here under the for the shadow. Under the eave of the roof here, maybe. Just a little bit of a shadow there, a little darker. Shadow there. And the same thing up here too. We could add a little shadow up here. A little bit of blue, cerulean blue. Like that. That's about it. I think we're pretty good. I think maybe I'll blot on a little bit of water, fresh, clean water, onto the sky area. And I'll go around where where we did the tree washes. I'll go around that so that we don't disturb that. And I'll just put a little bit of damp water here. And all we need is a little bit of that cerulean blue, like this. A little bit of cerulean blue I think is going to be fine for this, with a little bit of the other mixtures too, just to get a little color variation in there. and just work it on down like so, so that it kind of blends in into the distance here. Then you can always, if you blend it into where the trees are, you can blot up a little bit of water with a tissue just so you don't have too much water blending over the top of your trees, because that could reactivate and make everything blurry and diffuse. Like you might reactivate your washes and it doesn't look so great. So that's, and then maybe a little bit of an orangey color here at the bottom of the sky, like that, just to give it a little bit of that warmth feeling at the bottom of the sky. There's usually the feeling of warmth where the earth is, where the earth meets the sky, it's warmer. And then as it goes into the upper areas of the atmosphere, you have your cooler colors, the blues, and so forth. But I think this is just what you're going to need to sort of get that really nice feeling of a completed painting with the sky wash in there as well. And we're practicing our wet into wet, so you maybe you dampen up your paper where the sky wash is, and then you add your colors, and that has a really nice feel to the sky wash area. But I think that's it. I think that's everything looks fine. You'll add a few figures if you want to. Maybe we'll add a few figures here. Maybe we can add just some burnt umber and French ultramarine blue over here to make a little bit of a dark French ultramarine blue, like this, and burnt umber, maybe even some raw burnt sienna, like that. Then you take that and you dry off a little bit of the brush on a tissue so you don't have too much paint on your paintbrush, but we have the needlepoint brush, and then we could even do a few figures. Maybe we'll do a few figures here in the distance. They might be walking along the road here, a couple of people. And there's some shadows there. And maybe there's someone else too over here, or another few people here. You make these figures a little bit larger. They're a little closer. And the shadows under their feet. They might be chatting and talking. You just make a couple figures. So a few figures here and there look fantastic. Makes the painting more lively and enjoyable. Maybe there's a smaller, have a child there too as well. And you can add a little more color in the foreground. You might add some red. For, a shirt, maybe some red, some blue, especially closer up. In the foreground here, you might see a little more color. Then in the distance, you'll see more just darker shapes, cooler and darker. But I think that's fine. I think everything is really looking good. I'm glad you're painting along with me here. We're having lots of fun on my channel. Hope you'll keep coming back to paint along with me and with all of us here together. And we'll see you soon. So again, just adding a few more final details here to the windows and window sills maybe here and there, like that. Probably wouldn't see that much detail in the distance here, like that. And then you can even add a couple of we could add a couple of small bits of twigs and stems and branches and things over here in the foreground. French ultramarine blue, burnt umber, a little bit of green maybe. Even here too, there might be a couple more. Up here closer in the foreground, we have some more like that over here, but not so much in the distance. Maybe we'd see a few branches over here too. So this adds a little bit of really nice calligraphy to your paintings. So over here there is a few more details. It's in the middle distance, so you'll see a little more detail here. And then as you go off into the distance over here, we won't see much of that kind of a detail. Maybe a few more over here. A couple of. And again, just a few more details of some bits of maybe some trees here. Just some trees and limbs and some twigs and grasses and things here in the foreground. Like that. And that should be fine. Maybe a few more lines here. Just some U-shaped lines just to get that feel of the road coming in on a swing around like that. And we have it. Okay, we'll see you soon. Happy painting, everybody.